stick your tongue out. That I can kind of keep that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. My first memory. I don't remember. I can remember growing up was we lived in town at that time, but I was born in the country. My mom had a hard life. She was special, and she tried to raise all us as much as she could by herself till her daddy straightened up, and she always stood by us. And my mother was sick a lot, but she still fight. She wouldn't give up, because she had us to tend to. And she's always a cut up or two with the children. She cut up a pig, and oh me. Well, she had, all I can remember a lot of it was she had a rough time because she stayed sick a lot. She'd cook our meals, and she was so sick and then get up and table and go out and throw up and then stood there and cook our meals. She was so sick, she didn't give up cooking, whether she was sick or well. And she cut up with us. She'd make candy and stuff and let us have we called back then drama parties with the girls and play games, and she'd make us fudge and different kinds of candies and stuff. And oh me. But she would tell it like it was. And she was a person that didn't get out much and go around people that much, because we think she had a nerve problem when she was coming up. We didn't know about it. And depression. And my sister found a letter that she was going to Duke when she passed away. And we found a letter that they wanted to treat her for it, but she never did get the treatments, I don't think, at Duke. But she got better. And trying to think. But she would get ill real easy. I understand now how come she was ill, because she had big ulcers on the back of her leg and kept them wrapped up and real. And she'd go behind the shed out there and pour alcohol over them, wouldn't let us see her. And that was the worst thing she could do. And she'd keep it to herself. She didn't complain about her illness. They finally operated and kept her foot behind her leg and cast for several months, and it helped for a while, but didn't do much good. Then she had to have a surgery of her stomach. They took a fourth of her stomach out because she had ulcers, and she got up one morning. I think they bursted. She got gangrene, and they had to hook her up to a tube thing to pump her stomach off. We didn't know if she was going to live or not, but she pulled through it. I think I was about 11 or 12. I'm not sure if that's my age range or not. Loretta and I would go out. We had an outhouse back then. And so we went out there and crying and crying, asking God to take care of her and take care of our mother. And it really upset us. So we stayed with my grandma and aunts while she was in the hospital. And then we moved back to the country. After I was in the city for a while, we moved back to the country. Well, this happened when we was in the country, but we moved from the city back to the country. Because my brother, he was always in trouble with the neighbors and picking. So, so she had to go move to the country. And Rosetta got upset because she wanted to stay in the city to school. So, but a lot of things happened then. I didn't know what all him and Yvonne was always getting into it. But it was ups and downs. It was during the Depression too. And my daddy would go to the grocery store for Mom, and Loretta and I would go with him. We'd go to the dime store and get us a color book and crayon. And he had to use the stamps to get so much sugar, so much flour, potatoes, and each one of us children had a stamp to go by what they could buy. And I still got my stamp book put up, got stamps in it. And that's what you was limited on what you could buy back then, each home was, and depending on how many was in the family. And that's how we get our groceries. And you had to wait till the next time for the stamps, you know. So that's what we did back then. My dad was a dad, did not take responsibility of his family to start out with. He'd be gone for weeks at a time, or he'd come in drinking and be laying on the front porch, and Mom and Don would bring him in the house. And he was abusive to Mom when he was drinking and stuff. So he was abusive to Mama. He beat up on her. We was in the next room and knocked all of her teeth out in the front of her mouth. And so we had a hard time because we couldn't relate with him. He didn't talk to us much, and he was more or less left to go to movies out doing his thing. And he just didn't take the responsibility. And I think Mom said he was gone for 3 months one time, but we don't know where he went. But he wrote letters. They found that in when Mom and Daddy died, that told them to take care of us and take what little money that Mom to buy us some Christmas or something. But I don't know where he went. But he come back home, and Mama took him back. And my sister asked us, Mama, why did you stay with him like that for? She said, well, you stop and think. Back then, I didn't have nowhere to go, and I couldn't work. So back in those days, you didn't have nowhere to go. But he finally talked to Preacher Detweiler, and his brother got him. He talked to him in the car, and he was drinking. So Preacher Detweiler led him to the Lord. And he was drinking, but from then on, he lived a Christian life. And he regretted what he done, but he tried to be more of a dad and a husband after he got saved. And his life changed. But we had a hard relationship with him because he was a quiet man. He might pick a little bit, but he never would sit in and talk to us like he did the grandchildren. He didn't ask us how we was feeling, what we're doing, or we're doing in school, or he didn't take interest, in that. But I've overlooked it, and I forgive him. I don't hold it against him because I know that he was a lost person at that time. Now, you're not right with the Lord, you can be liable to do anything. So I think he meant well in his way, but he had a daddy was an alcoholic, and I think it ran in his family. And then his daddy killed a man. That's bothered him too. So I think that's before he got saved. Yeah. Well, I really didn't know a lot about my grandpa that much. He was always kind to see you, And he was a barber. He cut hair, and there in East Durham, in the corner of East Durham there. But him and some more men would sit on the side of the street and on the sidewalk and talk a lot. We'd come from school, and I knew it was my grandpa sitting over there. And one time, Loretta was walking home from school. It was about 6 or 5. My room was Loretta's, and he'd give us some money to go down to the drugstore and get us some ice cream cone. He was kind to us, but I didn't know what he was like a grandpa. He loved children, but he had a habit of drinking. And this man, they said, kept teasing him. So we took his knife out. He had a knife and cut the man's throat. So he's let his temper get away with him, I reckon. I don't know if he was drinking at the time, and I have no idea. I was about 10 years old, I guess. I don't know exactly how old I was. But and he pulled prison and got out on good behavior. But when he got out of prison, once they said they tried to reach him for the Lord, and several times, and they said he got drinking again. I didn't know that. So cancer got on his face. It ate him up. He ate up with cancer and went to his brain. And as far as I know, he never did get saved. As far as I know.
Do you remember when your uncle was killed in World War II?
I just barely could remember him because I was a child. I might have been 5, 6 years old. I don't know how young I was then, but I remember Daddy coming home and he found out his brother got killed, coming in off of the ship. How they come out and then they killed him, a bunch of them, and he was killed. And Daddy laid across the bed and just cried and cried and cried. And he wanted to go join the service to fight, but he couldn't go because he had too many children. And that really hurt him. As far as Arnold, he was a nice guy. I don't know if he was a Christian at the time or not, but he was a good guy. And so I got his record his mother gave me that they sung during the war, the Battle of the Republican or something. You probably heard it before, but I got it put up somewhere, and they gave it to me. And so all about him is over in Chapel Hill in his ex-girlfriend wrote all about him. His letters she sent him, they was planning on getting married. And she put it in the thing at Chapel Hill, and she married another guy, and I think she had a lot of land. And so she won't put Arnold's stuff in the... You can wear gloves, they say you can go in and see it and read it, but you have to put on gloves. And she put that in about Arnold. And his name's at the courthouse on the thing. And but he trusts the Lord later on. That's after he realized that Preacher Detweiler told me but that was way, way after Arnold got killed. That was way on. Vaughn took care of us a lot. She was the oldest, and she's the actress. Rosita, she took a pot of scalding water. We in the city, but we had tubs to bathe in. And I was in the tub, she took the kettle and poured the hot water all over me to go give me a bath. So Vaughn, she had to run all the way to the drugstore in East Room and get some stuff to put on my burns. And Zita didn't mean to do it. She was a young one. And so they got that done. And Vaughn, me and Loretta slept with Vaun, and Mick and Rosita slept together till they got bigger and they had to separate them because it was all in one room back then. So we didn't remember Rosita as much as we did. We still couldn't figure out where she was at in the house. And where she hid at, what she had a nose in a book or what. But we never did know her playing with us, me and Loretta and I. But I think she was trying to learn and off to herself. And Loretta and I always stuck together. Mama always treated us like we was twins. She dresses alike, but have a different color. And Loretta and I was stuck together like twins. And Loretta was mean, mischievous. She picked on me, and I was sick a lot. Had to take a lot of iron. I was very sickly coming up. And one day I was standing in front of the stove, and she hauled off and hit me in the stomach just for meanness, and I passed out. And my brother-in-law got so upset with her, he didn't know what to do. I don't know, she just did mischief. She probably think that she'd hurt me. And I'd be sick at Grandma's when Mom was in the hospital. And she'd get on top of me, and I didn't have the energy. My blood count was always low. And she'd pick on me, jump on me, and do everything to me, just coming up as a child. But I don't know if she was just trying to get me to play back with her or what, but I couldn't fight back. And but we always got along. We always real close. Loretta and I, we got along all right. Christmas, we would get Mom would get us a coloring book and crayons, and she'd buy a little ring, and we'd get a doll and a pair of pajamas. And that's what we got. They had fruit, And Mom make a lot of cakes and stuff like that, and she's always done that. Mama always enjoyed Christmas, making stuff and baking stuff. But we didn't get a whole lot. When we got older, they stood have giving us a lot of stuff at Christmas. They give us money after Christmas, so we can go buy us a coat. We needed a coat or stuff like that when we got older. And she fixed us a shoebox and put all kinds of candies and fruit and stuff in the shoebox under the tree with our names. They did that. Later on, when I was older, when we moved back to older, Only vacation we got was when Daddy got off, when the Americans had their vacation, they closed the cafe down, and that's the week he'd take his, and he'd take us to Outer Banks, and we'd go fishing for a week, and come back home. And that's the only vacation we ever got, was doing something like that. And then we had family reunions on my mama's side every year, and they get together, bring a dish, and have family reunions on my mother's side. Well, my daddy's side a few times, but they weren't as close to us. I feel like they felt like they was better than we were or something. I had a hard time with them, daddy's side of the family. Because I always felt like they had a lot better stuff than we had, and I always felt like they was looking down on us. Something. Well, we just didn't have too good or much of a relationship. Well, my grandmother, I never did really know her because she never really talked to me that much. We didn't know a thing really about her either. And she had a hard time. My Grandma Ellis. She didn't talk to us much. And I think she had a hard life too. So, my grandparents, my mama's side, I couldn't ask for no better grandma in this world than my mama's mother. She was a very quiet lady. She sat back in her chair. She read her Bible. And she was very quiet. And I never heard her get out of control. And she never did raise Cain, you know. She's a very quiet, meek person. And I would sleep with her when Mom was in the hospital. Loretta and I, we had to stay with them. And I would sleep with her, and she'd wake me up during the night singing Rock of Ages. Shall we gather at the river? And she had her hump back on bones, and she'd be rocking that bed just singing them hymns and wake me up, and she was just happy she could be singing those hymns. I'll never forget it. And she was always kind. Never seen her get out of hand with nobody. As they said, she got upset with my daddy one time. They said they'd never seen her do that before, because the way he did Mick and beat him when the back was stick or something was bleeding. She said, I better never hear you do that to him again. That's when Mick was little. And so she tell it like it was when it come to something like that. You know, she was honest about it. But she was a good grandmother. I think she'd go to church when she got, because back then they had to go on a wagon, horse, or walk through the woods to go to the church or something back in them days. My grandmother went to Olive Branch. The preacher at Olive Branch Baptist Church used to be her pastor. Years ago, but I don't know how often she got to go because I was smaller and she was getting older, and I don't know exactly. And I think they went to Oak Grove Free Will Baptist Church some too when they went. I didn't, because I don't remember it myself, But that's what they said, We walked to church, me and Rosetta and Loretta. I don't remember the barn might have, but I can't remember if she went or not because she left home at 17. So we walk up Middle Spring Road and go to Oak Grove Free Will Baptist Church. We walk up there. And we had a good time going to that church. They had little things for the children, and he preached good. But I didn't understand way back then they didn't believe in the salvation. I didn't understand all that as a child. And I seen the times when I was a child, I left and went up, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I was going to handle if I went up, so I didn't. But the people was good to us there. And we walked every Sunday up there.
How far of a walk was that?
It was about a half a mile, I guess. I don't know if it was a mile or not. Going to school. That was a rough time, going to school. Well, I went to school in the city for the first time. And I had a rough time going to school. Bonnie dropped us off, and I'd cry till she come back and get us. And after she got out of school, I didn't like being away from home. And I had a hard time going through school. Because I was worried, and I was worried about my mom. And I had a rough go going to school. I went to the 9th grade. I had to come out. I'd been there 12 years, I know. But when I was coming up, I was having a hard time learning. They sent me to the room every time to check my ears so I didn't hear. I couldn't get sounds. You say D, it sound like a B. You know, I couldn't get my sounds. And back then, they didn't have stuff to do with you like they do today. And so I think I repeated about every grade about it. They say that, you know, keep me in the same. In some classes, we had both grades in the same group. And Loretta was in the grade, well, one year she was in there with me in the same grade. And this teacher I had, I never forget her, she told me if I learned my multiplication tables that I would pass my grade. Well, I did. And Loretta didn't, but she passed. I got my letter, I didn't pass. That broke my heart. And I was young. And I didn't understand her lying to me like that. And I never liked her. But when I got in other grades, some teachers sort of understood what I was going through with. They wanted to send me somewhere to get help in Durham. Daddy, you know, send me to somewhere so somebody could work with me. But Daddy didn't believe in it. He didn't send me, let me go. I was good in art. I remember things real well. But you get me to read it to you, I might get few words and not many. And that's where I had a battle with. I was pretty good in math and art, but I had a hard time. I cried a million times. I've told them youngers didn't know it. I mean, my sisters didn't know it. Mom, I cried many times because I want to be something. I want to learn. I want to do things, and I couldn't do what the rest of them was doing. And so Rosalie talked to me one day. So one time she couldn't understand why I couldn't get it. Mom would call my words out to me. I spelled them right the first time. But she'd go over it again, I couldn't spell them at all. So that's what happened to me there in school. But I can remember things. You tell me something, I can remember it, but I can't you tell me to read it to you, I couldn't. Actually, I don't understand how I sing, and I can't read that well. I mean, it's just a miracle. I don't understand it. There's time I worked out because I wanted to be something. And I said, well, you know, Lord, I want to be a nurse. I want to be something, you know, real important, get out and work. I said, well, Lord, you know, you had a reason. I had to accept it that way. You had a reason that I couldn't do that. I said, if I'd done that, I could have been so high and mighty, think I didn't need the Lord or nothing else. I need nothing. So I know He had a purpose. But see, when I was born, I was premature. I weighed 3 or 4 pounds, I can't remember. And I stayed in incubator for 2 months. And so I always thought maybe being premature had a lot to do with the development. So I don't know if that's true or not. Mama said she used to tote me around on a pillow. That was so tiny. But, you know, I've learned to overcome it. A lot of people don't know what I can do and what I can't do. I never expressed it to nobody, you know, outside. A lot of people think, Zita said, Lord, I don't know why you do what you do for your handicap that you do have, those other issues. She said, but you do more than we would do. And I don't know either. I don't understand it either. But, you know, God knows all about it. That's why I used to really worry about it. And see, it would bother me because they want me to do things, and I'm afraid I'd get up and make a mistake, or I couldn't do it. I wanted to speak, but I could not speak, and I was afraid I'd mess up. I had a fear I'd mess up. First time I met Larry, I met him on a blind date with my cousin, and we went to Smith Chapel Baptist Church. And every time we dated, we'd go with her because she was a Christian. We would go with her. Laura went there too because his uncle went there. So we'd go to Smith Chapel on Sunday night, and when we dated. And so we just kept going there. And then sometimes we'd go to the Gospel Center. And when I was dating, then I got sick. I couldn't go nowhere for a long time. When I got yellow jaundice and glandular fever, I had to stay at home about 3 months. And so later on, we got to go back to church, and I think we went together about 3 months. He wanted to give me a ring, and I said, well, you let me think about it. So I said, I had to think about that. Let me think about this thing. So later on, I told him, yeah, I've accepted, you know. So I want to be sure. I think it sort of, I think he was really thinking about that thing, what I was going to say. I think that's what it was, you know. And, but the next time I accepted, then he was all right. He was just a cut-upper anyway. He always has been, you know. So then we decided to get married in December, you know, later on. Because Daddy didn't believe in spending a lot of money in weddings. So we decided we'd go with Rosalie and Tommy in South Carolina. That's where they got married. And so we went there and got married. The first few years, it was pretty good. It was okay. I mean, he was in the National Guards and he had to go off. Then when he had to be gone a week, he couldn't stand it. He didn't like to be gone a week away from me. And he'd write me letters and write him one. And I'd go stay with Mom and Daddy while he was gone to camp, you know. And he was under that time the lightning struck and killed a lot of the soldiers. In a tent, they were sitting in chairs and lightning hit him and killed a bunch of them. He was there. He was paramedic back then. And they had it on the paper. His picture was on the paper by helping the paramedics in the Durham paper years and years ago. And he was helping someone, you know. But he finally, when his term, he decided he wouldn't go back. They tried to get him to go back and he wouldn't go. He didn't want to go back anymore. He served 8 years there. My favorite memories is that he took good care of me. I know he had his ups and downs, and I can understand why he had them. But I know he always stood up for me and took care of me. And he said if it weren't for me, he wouldn't have made it. He was going to quit several times his job, and I said, no, you can't. And he said if I hadn't told him, he probably would have done it. I tried to encourage him all the time. And I know how far to push him. You know what I'm saying. Because I know sometimes you push people, they're very upset and very emotional. The more you say to them, the worse they'll get. And I learned to be quiet till he's more relaxed and then talk. And he'll admit a lot of times that I was right. So I had to have a lot of patience with him, you know. But he was good to me in a lot of ways. And he was good to the children, but sometimes but he loved his children. He'd fight for them.
So tell me about when LaVonda was born.
She was born. We didn't have a place. We weren't living in we were waiting for the house to come up, so we stayed with Mom and Daddy. And when she was born, we didn't have a baby bed, nothing like that then. And I put her in a dresser drawer with a pillow beside of my bed at Mama's, and she slept in this dresser drawer. And Daddy walked by and rubbed her head once for shipwreck. So she slept in that till we got to move out and got her a bed and put her in there. And she didn't want me to get out of her sight. She's always clean to me, and she still does, grown. I mean, she's that way. She still cleans. I think she thinks I'm her secure. Because Larry would have her confused. I mean, I know he loved her, but he didn't know what. She'd be in bed, she wouldn't get to bed. No. The next one he said, yeah, and that have her confused, and Merle jumped off. I said, Lord, don't do it that way. She won't know whether you mean it or don't mean it. That made her nervous, and he didn't understand. But, you know, a lot of times we grow up and have children, you don't know what to do with children. You don't know how to handle children. And you got to learn. The first one gets all the experiments and gets treated different. Okay. It was in February, and I was taking pictures of her in the hospital, and she squinted her mind across. She wouldn't let him get one of her. And she was a good baby. She was very good. Sometimes I felt like I left her out a little bit with Vonda, but she crawled up on the bed with Vonda would crawl up on the bed with her, and she was a baby. And first thing I know, I looked around and Vonda had some animal cookies, and she was trying to give Tammy one, and she was just a newborn. I said, she can't eat them cookies, Vonda. So she was trying to feed her some cookies and all, but Tammy was pretty good. She had a lot of colic, cried a lot. And I put on regular dairy milk. My doctor chewed me out about it because he said it won't pasteurize enough. But she stopped her stomach from hurting, so she made it through. But Tammy was always Tammy. She had a different personality than all of them. She was a little different. She loved the outdoors, and she liked to do things different than the rest of them. They're all different. Angie was a good baby. She was a very good baby. She never gave me trouble, and she whatever I did for, she accepted. I mean, she just did it. I mean, she won't bad at all. Only time that's when I got saved, when I was rocking her in the rocking chair in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when the Lord spoke to my heart, and then I got saved that morning. And I was rocking her and all. But I was sitting there rocking her, and I was looking out the window, and the pine trees were going back and forth like that in the wind. And the Lord spoke to me. And I thought about it, and I said, well, God, I know you could take this child away from me if you wanted to, and that made me think that I need to get my life right. Well, the Lord would ask me a lot of times in the bedroom, if I die, would I go to heaven? He didn't push it on me. And but the Lord was dealing with me, I reckon, because I want to be sure what I was doing. Because a lot of people wanted you to go up and do this, that, and other, but I wouldn't go. I had to be sure. I said, if I go, I want mean business. I'm not going to cut it on and off. I'm not going to play with it, So I asked the Lord to come in my life and help me, forgive me. And so from then on, I called my daddy, and like I say, I had a hard time talking to my daddy. I love my daddy, but I had a hard time talking to him, and I knew he was saved. So he was the first person I called, and I knew then I had to be saved for me to do that to my daddy. So I called him and told him I got saved this morning, and he was excited about it. And the Lord was work that morning, gone into the mill, work another shift to make extra money. He worked a lot of different shifts, second shift sometimes to make me extra money. So when he come home, we was having Thanksgiving dinner at Mom and Daddy's. So he came in on the back porch. I told him I got saved. And I think they had revival that night at Smith Chapel. We went to the revival. And it all worked out that way. It was at Smith Chapel. I don't know if I was out there or not. Roy Smith was singing a song, When You Reached in His Hands for Me. I was lost and undone. And I say that's when he went up and got saved, And he talked to Preacher Williams a lot. And Preacher Williams talked to him a lot, helped him a lot. And he made him a facial one time before, and then later on he didn't. I knew he wouldn't say what he was doing before. So when he got saved out there at Smith Chapel, when he decided that later on he felt like the Lord was calling him. He was in the hospital visiting with Deacon or something. And he said the Lord kept telling his people here dying in Southfield, you need to tell them about the Lord, And he just was having a picnic at the Duke Park and having fish fry, the class, Sunday class and all. So he talked to the preachers out there, and he told them to be sure. Preacher Nelson said, "Now I want you to be sure. Don't do it unless you're really sure." He gave him time to wait and think about it, be sure. So finally, he was sure. And so out there back then, when you called to preach, they take you off the road until you get out and preach. They don't keep you in there and let you hang around. They want you to get out and preach. So when he did that, things worked out. Nello helped him a lot, and his uncle, and he was looking for a place to start a mission. Start out in a mission, and found a place here in Hillsborough to start out a mission. Then it went over. You had to have so many members before you could start a church. When Craig was born, he cried about 24 hours a day. He cried. I walked for him by the neighborhood, hear him crying. I give him a bottle, and as soon as he drank that bottle, every bit of it come back up. I didn't know what to do. I walked the floor, and I feed him again. So finally I had to take him to the doctor, and the doctor went in and thought it was his ears. Well, he punched his ears, made him bleed. He still cried and cried. It wasn't his ears. So went back, and they figured he had a reflux. And so they said they didn't know whether they have to operate or not with his reflux when he was a baby. So they put him in the hospital and wouldn't let me stay back then with him. And he cried and cried. And I could see him in that baby bed, that head full of black hair, and I wanted to get in there with him, so I didn't know what to do. And but they finally figured out, they went with him and did the x-ray. They made him drink all this chalky looking stuff. He swallowed that down like it was candy. I'm telling you, he loved it. And they could see his stomach intestines wasn't right. It was reflux. And so they put him on some drops, and they maybe put cereal, 2 tablespoonfuls of cereal, every one of his bottles of milk, and shake it, make it a little thick, that would hold it down. And so finally, after he'd done all that medicine, he got better. But he has to be careful what he takes for his stomach. It's like his mom. He has to watch about his stomach. But he was sweet. He was, the girls said I petted him, but they petted him too. They petted him more than I did in some way. But he was good. I know when we first come up into the church, he got off the pew, crawled up on the pulpit, up on the thing. He crawled up on there and all. But I thought he was a good child. He never did, get into too much trouble or nothing like that coming up. Nothing I know of. Since he sold his bicycle and his daddy got mad with him. He bought him. That's when he was old. But otherwise, I thought Craig done pretty good for himself. As far as I know, he never did get out and drink or do stuff like that. He was a good child. Tanya, well, bless her little heart. She was a good baby. She was good like Ann. She was pretty good. But trouble her, they was carrying her around on their back, around their arms all the time. And she never did get a chance to lay down. One of them was holding her, taking care of her. Tammy took her over a lot of times. But she was good child. And she cleaned to them a lot. And then she'd do something in the floor, and they'd think it's bouncing on the floor, and they thought it was so fun and get us sad. And so they get her to say things and it wouldn't sound right, and they thought it was funny. They pick at her a lot and all. But as far as being sick or nothing, Angie's the one that had the most trouble being sick coming up. Had to run her to the doctor a lot. But they thought they'd take her over. And Vonda, especially she got in hospital, Vonda thought she was going to help raise her. So that's just good. When you got the baby and you got old silver ones, they won't take over. Yeah, it's a lot of difference. I think because you're older, when you had another one. But they would, Lorna didn't have money, and Vonda would give her money, things that she needed in school and stuff like that. She'd help her out. They would see that she got taken care of something she needed. They coming up, they didn't have, none of them had many dresses to wear. They wore about the same dress every Sunday. I did sew for them when I could, but I didn't have money to go out in the department store and buy them dresses. I had to make them if they got anything. They didn't get clothes and stuff like other children did. And they didn't get toys much during the time coming up either, since at Christmas. We didn't buy them toys much. Larry, when Tanya was born, he brought them all up to the hospital to see me, but they had to stay outside and see me through the window. So they'll never forget it. So their daddy took them shopping and let them buy a little gift. So you know what Tammy got? She got a parachute. And Vonda got an elephant, I think. Let's see, what did Craig get? I can't remember. Angie got a little pocketbook. I'm trying to remember what they got, but they were so excited that they took them shopping. They could see me through the window, but they couldn't come in the hospital. They wouldn't let them by then. And they were so excited about that. And I thought Carrie would be very jealous because he was 4 and 4 years old when she was born. And well, he loved her to death. And I thought, well, I was shocked. Because Craig would take care of me when I was expecting Tanya. And he would dust the furniture for me. He'd try to sit after me and I let him take a nap. He would crawl up behind me and lay down. But he was something when he was little, you know. But it was all worked out good. Well, it's like this. When he was called to preach, I said, Lord, I didn't know what to do. I said, Lord, don't let me stand in his way. And learn to follow him, what he wants. So I made up mine I'd do that. I learned to try to encourage the people, as ramming the ladies. If they had something, ask me if something be done or something, I said, you go talk to Larry about that. I wouldn't give them any kind of leeway that they could do something and asking him. I wouldn't do that. I try to encourage them. I did pray with them if they had a problem. But I had to keep my distance to a certain extent. You don't want me not walk, but try to put a barrier there a little bit between. You have to have a little barrier there between them, the ladies. And I had some ladies real good to me. Then I had some ladies that wasn't too good, you know. I've had people turning on Larry and so I just had to stick in there and I tell him stick in there, you know. Because I know they done got together with a group, and Larry never did believe in having little groups in the church, and he said, we're not having groups in this church. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't believe in grouping off with different ones. You know, the people shouldn't do that. They should be friendly to all of them, each other. Sometimes it was hard because you wanted a friend, something to do with. Now, Thelma Hester was always good to me coming up in the church. She was always kind to me and my children and helped us a lot. Thelma did. And it's just ups and downs when you're in the church like that, and you have to wait and deal with it. And I learned too, it was so good that Laura learned, if they had a problem, wait and meet at the church and go with me in the office and we'll talk about it. Don't try to discuss it in front of other people, you know. So I learned that was the best thing to do too. Well, the ministry was good. I liked it, and I liked it because I seen souls saved. I see where God increased. I see things that really happened. Large sacrifice. I mean, I'm not saying that to brag or boast. He sacrificed. He had chances to get more money, but he wouldn't take it. And it was hurting us and my children by not taking it. But we didn't starve. I cooked many gravy and biscuits so they could eat. He wanted to see the church grow and build more. And he was saving the money for the church. And he was sacrificed to do that, to see that church grow and build, you know, and get more land. But he wouldn't take it. And but I said, it's been some hardship, and then it's been some good times too. And I'd say the church was good to us. I cannot say they was mean to us or anything like that. The people were good to us, you know, at times that we needed something. They were good to us. Because a lot of preachers didn't have what I had and Larry had when he retired and he got out. Some preachers don't have where to go, nowhere to do, or nothing. But I know they promised a lot of things that didn't carry it through that time, but that's okay. We made it. You know. And so we made it. We paid our house payment. We paid everything. He needed to go ahead and retire because sometimes he'd slip up and say things he shouldn't say. And I think his mind wasn't doing as well. He was having some little strokes. And I think he just would get nervous. And every time he got through, his sugar be sky high, and his health wasn't as good. And I just feel like it was time for him to let somebody else take over. That's the way I felt, because he wasn't well at all. And his sugar be sky high, and then he had to have the heart surgery, and then he got that sweet syndrome, and that was driving him up the wall. So I feel in my heart, I hated to see him have to do that, because I wish he was able to keep going. But I'm afraid he's going to get up and say something, mess up everything, cause a mess in the church. And I didn't want him to do that. And he would hate if he said something, cause conflict and split the church up or something, he'd say. But I thought it was best for him to retire. You know, because sometimes when you're like that, you slip out and say things you don't mean to say, and it comes out. When there's, because I had an uncle who was a pastor, and he got real sick, and he said going through his stuff, he was saying awful things, and he couldn't go out and preach revivals talking like that, and I think he got dementia or something later on. So, but I think sometimes it comes to a point you have to retire. Somebody says, I never retire. Well, you might not if you got a good sense of thinking. And a lot of them think good, running and knock pillows out under the house, running to change at the church, and he's not thinking, and his reflux won't do him like he should. So I thought he done the best thing doing that. He didn't like it though. He missed it so bad, but I was so afraid that I didn't tell him to. I didn't make him do it, but he felt like he was getting to a time he'd have to just resign. My grandchildren, oh my. I love every one of them. Every one of them is special. Every one of them makes my day. I tell you, they're just all special.
Your favorite is Aaron.
Yeah, I know Aaron's my oldest. Now Aaron and Kevin.
There you go.
Kevin the oldest, and Kevin had a hard time coming up, and I'm so thankful and I'm so blessed to see he get his life straightened out. I'm just so thrilled. I told Vonda, I said, Vonda, I know y'all are worried over, and I worry. I said, but the Bible says you raise them up and they will not depart. They've departed from a while, they'll come back. I said, just give him time. You come back. Me and Vonda would tell him, we'd tell him off when he was drinking. We'd just let him have it. But he learned, and then that time he got locked up in jail. He brought him home, and he looked at me, Grandma, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. And I said, I know you didn't, but you was with the wrong people and wrong time and the wrong place. But all my grandchildren, they all have the different personality. And I know some has having a hard battle in life because they don't trust the Lord yet. And I'm trying to be patient about it, because if I get riled up with it, that's not going to reach them for the Lord. I tell them every once in a while, you know what? Now, the Lord is soon coming. And you get your life straightened out before it's too late. And I witnessed to them, and I've talked to them, but I don't stay on their case about it, because I feel like I'm not going to reach them like that. Which I might not never see them saved. I don't know. But I've got to leave it in God's hands. But I do. I love my grandchildren. And I love my great-grandchildren. I couldn't ask for no sweeter family than I got. I really wouldn't have one. And I don't believe in partiality. I know you're kidding, playing on. But I've seen grandparents have partiality with the grandchildren. I don't like that at all. I do not like that. Because it rubs off on the other, and they feel like, well, Grandma and Papa didn't never like me. And I don't like that, because you should love them all. If you're right with the Lord, you should love them all. Because I think about all of them every day, and I pray for them. And I do. It comes across my mind. I come up with the conscious, don't do something you shouldn't be doing. I say I was, good morally, but I know I was still singing. I realized I was singing. That's when I was having a hard time about singing, because I try to keep my life straight and respect my mother and father. Mom and Daddy never had no trouble with me. And they know that. Daddy said I was the best one of them all, but I didn't like him to say that because, hey, that would hurt them. And I don't believe in saying I got one child's better than the other one. I really, because I didn't never open my mouth that much. And Daddy didn't say nothing, and I didn't argue back. And, but I know I've probably done things. I have done things when I was a little girl I shouldn't have done. And I was with the wrong people, and I didn't know they did stuff like that. We went into the school, the boys on the football team. We went home with this little girl and boy that we knew for years, and they was right across from school. So when the men was out on the football team, they crawled through the window, and that's where the boys dress, get the football team stuff, and go out and fit. We're going in, we steal their money. I followed them, and I said, I know better than that. And went to the store and bought some candy and rings. But I followed right behind them what they was doing, and I shouldn't have done that. It bothered me for a long time. And I said, I never should have done that. That's the only thing I ever remember I've done that's really terrible when I was coming up for us. Something I really shouldn't have done. But I learned then that I wouldn't go with them no more. It learned me a lesson. And I learned if I had it now and know who'd run it, I'd give it back to them, but I don't know who's what. And then boys come back and their money was gone. So it's terrible. It bothered me. But that's the only thing I was trying to remember. Well, I was a kid. My mama told me to do something, not to do it, and I done it anyway, and I paid the price. I cut my fingernail off. I was going to make me a little wooden table with a hatchet. And I cut my finger scars right there right now. My finger was hanging off. I told you not to do it. I said, Mama, I did. I know you told me not to do it. So I had to go get my finger fixed. But she told me not to use that hatchet. But I was a curiosity, well, make some. But because we weren't allowed to leave the house that much. If we went up to our cousin's house, we'd allowed 2 hours, and we better be back in 2 hours, so we don't go no more. So the girls done that. My brother never did have a curfew. And I think that's when he's had a hard time today. They didn't never make him do nothing like he should have. But we was allowed to go certain things. And coming up as a child, my aunt, Mama's two sisters, the twins, they was dating this man, and they take us on Saturday night to the drive-in theater to see a movie. And Laura and I ride with them to see a movie. Might have been in Western back then days, I can't even remember. But they get us to ride with them to see the movie. And but that's about it. As far as going to a lot of places, we didn't get to go no very much. What's the gospel? It's true. The Bible's the gospel, the Word. Preach the gospel to every creature and present it out there in the gospel. Give them the gospel. How does someone get saved? Okay, and the only way they get saved, they got to be under conviction to start with. The Holy Spirit's got to draw them first. Then they realize they need it, they got to repent and ask God to forgive them. Accept him in his heart. So, confess him with their mouth. I just name ones, I don't know. I got several of them. It will be worth it all.
That's a good one.
It will be worth it all when we see Jesus. I forgot them that quick. I mean, I got several songs I like, but right now, since I hadn't been able to sing much, I missed it, and I hadn't kept up with my singing like I should. Well, I don't think Mother did that, as I can remember. It was my grandmother and them. They would take and fry the sausage and put it in a jar and pour the grease over it, and it would seal it and keep it all winter. Their sausage, they do pig feet, pickle pig feet, pickle ears. They done all their can because they didn't have freezers and refrigerators back then. All kinds of vegetables they were canning. Yeah, they would take the hog meat and and grind up their sausage. And another way they do the sausage too, now my daddy's done this, we've had it. They take these cloth bags and make them about that wide, sew them and stuff it with sausage and hang it up in the meat house. Oh, it was so good. And it get aged to it, and it was really good. And we just salt down fat back, middling, they call it with salt. And ham, so we hang them in the meat house. We had a meat house, and we hang them in there in the salt. Well, after Mom and Daddy passed away, out there cleaning out the shed, it was still a piece of fat back meat, or meat still salted down in there. So they throw it in the creek. The turtles eat it, and I didn't know it was still in there. And it was so far back, we didn't know it was still in there. But they'd hang the meat and stuff up in the. And the first thing we would do when they killed the hogs was we'd eat the tenderloin. Mama fried that tenderloin. Oh, it was so good to have that tenderloin. It was good. Now chickens, Daddy make us kill chickens and clean them for the cafe. And I didn't like that. And then we go eat chicken. I could smell those wet feathers. I didn't want no chicken. So we had to do a lot of that too. Me and Loretta done a lot of the men's work around there. And we had to go in the field and throw iced potatoes behind their truck, sweet potatoes. Me and her had to go Daddy, and we had to ice and throw them in the truck. And then we'd bring bags of feed home. I had to take it off the truck and tote it. And I reckon that's why my stomach got messed up more. But Mama got at it and said, them girls are not boys, or Charlie. Somebody said, Mama, Mickey been out there helping us, and Rosetta either. But we had to go out in the garden at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and pick vegetables. And sit out there and shell them, and for him to take to the cafe to cook, and we'd get money for the little jars of peas we had to buy them fabric, and Mama make us dresses. And we hated to do that. We hated to go to that garden so bad. I didn't like to go to the garden. But we had to do it. So it's just the way life runs, But Mom would take us down to the creek and have a little picnic with us. That's one thing Mom would do. She'd make some sandwiches and stuff. We'd go down the creek and the water running over, and we'd sit down and have a picnic. She would have a picnic with us. And we had an old spring down there. We had to take water from the spring to the house. So we go down there, a lot of times I see snakes start scare me to death. And then crawdads in the bottom of the spring, but it was good water. But I always watch out for snakes down there. It was scary. And then we had to take them buckets of water to the house. They have water to drink. And all. But finally, they got a well, and that water stunk so bad. Ugh. Down there. But we made it through. My family, oh my. I couldn't tell you how much I loved them, because it's way beyond what I can tell you. Because I love them all, my family. And I love my family. I love my sisters and I love my brother. We were very, very close. And I think it made us so close because of what we went through when we was little coming up. And it made us real close. We still see about each other all the time. And it's like Rosetta told my brother, said, brother, I know you might be going to leave, but we don't know. But you stop and think about it. It's going to be like a checkerboard. We're all going to be right behind you. And we'll see you over there. So that's all you can do, because all of us in the 80s but one. And so we could die one right behind the other. Because I was never seen years to it. So you won't know how it looks. You might imagine, but you still couldn't imagine it. Really? Do you think you can imagine what it's like? I don't. I ain't like Preacher Milk was a watermelon as big as wash tubs and all that stuff. Grapes as big as. That's his thinking, to get everybody to laugh, but you don't know. You don't know. It's another thing that's hard to understand. They say you know each other when you get there. But that's a hard thing to understand too. But like I say, it's that's what he said when he said what he says. I know He's Almighty. He's God. He's Jesus. He can change anything He wants to change. And I have to learn to accept whatever He wants in our lives. We have to make the best of it and accept it. And don't doubt what He can't do. Because I think He can do anything He wants to do. I know sometimes we worry about all these things, but we shouldn't worry about it. Because He's the one that's in control, and He can change it anytime He wants to change it. And I know He's took care of me so many times. Helped me through a lot of illness, and I thank Him for that. I don't know why He left me here for a reason, but I've been through a lot. I thought I was going to go on, but He didn't let me go. But I know He's able to do anything if we asked Him. And let Him do it. I got to let Him do it, and I can't do it. I can't change my children. I can't change my grandchildren. But I know one that can change them. That's the way I have to look at it, because I can't do it. I wish I could, but I'm not God. So, all I can say, He's been good to me. It's like this, if I didn't have Him, I couldn't handle it, made things. I had to leave it in the element, because I'd be a basket case trying to handle everything myself. But you can't do that. You just turn it over to Him, you know. I've seen Him answer many, many prayers. And He still can.